everyone, and welcome back to SoldOutChat. I'm Kay, the marketing coordinator here at Above Promotions, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for today's exciting discussion. We're diving into the captivating world of visual storytelling and exploring how artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the way brands connect with their audiences. And who better to guide us through this than our very own CEO, Ebony Vaz? Hi, Ebony. Welcome back to SoldOutChat.
Hi, Kay.
So I'm really glad today that we have a guest. So we have Ron Vaz, our VP of Sales and Partnership at Above Promotions, with over a decade of sales expertise in strategic planning and partnership development. Ron is the key to our growth. Interestingly, he is also the acclaimed owner and lead photographer at Broadway Photography, bringing a unique visual perspective to the business world. Hi, Ron. Welcome to the show.
Okay, hey Ebony, how you guys doing today?
We're good.
Doing great. Doing great.
Okay, so today we'll be unpacking the key trends and techniques shaping this landscape. So let's jump right in. For our listeners who might be new to the intersection of AI and visual storytelling, can you paint a broad picture of the current landscape? Like, what are some of the most significant ways AI is impacting how brands create and share visual narratives?
Oh my gosh. It is changing at a very rapid speed. It's kind of crazy how quickly it is moving. I think at first everyone was just kind of wowed by, oh, we can get it to create a mountain with a field to, oh, we can get it to create people. But those people have 6 or 7 fingers on each hand. And then now it's like, oh, we can create people with very minimal distortion to them. Maybe their eyes might be closer together or et cetera. So we're seeing like this evolution of how AI is changing from a visual standpoint at a very quick speed. And I think even to where like we were talking with a client about their visuals for a product that we're helping to design from a branding standpoint, and they went to AI to try to give us their idea. Our clients didn't do that before. They would be like, I'm trying to describe to you what I want to see, or they might try to like sketch out by hand. But now our clients are going like to AI and say, this is kind of what I want to see. Can you make something like this happen? And here we are. What about you, Ron?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's we're in the still in the beginning stages of AI from what I see, and that's so much potential. There's so much growth. Every day is a new product coming out or an improvement to an already existing AI product. Like you said, people started off with 16 fingers on one hand. Now the hands are getting better, and AI is catching up with all the new models that they're putting out. That those systems are learning where they were messing up before, and now they're correcting themselves. And I say within the next 5 years, it's going to get to the point you're going to watch a commercial, you're not going to know if these are real people in the commercial or if this is completely automatic AI generated commercial.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even for us, we were playing the prompt and we created those toy action figures. And what is that new anime one that is being popular over there, Kay?
I made something called like Chibi figures. So it's really cute. Like a lot of people are doing it right now. And recently I've been seeing a lot of people doing the action figures as well. Like they are really so cute and you can do something like, hey, I wanted to look like this and that. So it's really nice.
Yeah, very.
So, one of the buzzwords we hear a lot is generative AI. How is this technology specifically changing the game for visual content creation? And what are some compelling examples you are excited about?
So, yeah, Ron and I were having this conversation the other day, and I'll let him go more into it. But I think what is good about the iteration we're seeing for generative AI is that it can take actual images and work with them to create new environments and landscapes. And I think that that is something that I like. Now, on the other hand, what's going to happen once we upload the product? Am I going to see our product for our client in some ad in the middle of Russia? I don't know. But, I think there is some benefits there.
Yeah, I agree. There are pluses and minuses to everything. That's with everything in life. But with generative AI, it's in what you want it to be. You can create from nothing from scratch, and you can create an entire world. Like, for example, the movie Ready Player One. We're almost getting to that point where everybody's going to have their own avatar in an AI world and just walking around, and nobody's going to leave the house because they can just generate what they want themselves to be, what they want their world to be, and move on from there.
Recently, I've been seeing a lot on Reels. Like, people are like, is this real? Is this AI? They're like arguing in the comment section, figuring out if a certain ad is an AI or something. So, beyond just creating this visuals, how is AI being used to enhance the storytelling aspect itself? Like, are there tools or techniques that help brands craft more engaging and impactful visual narratives through AI driven insight?
So I think from a storytelling standpoint, I mean, we're talking visual storytelling today, which is why we have our expert Ron on this podcast today. But I think that from beyond just creating the visuals, we have to look at tools that are going to allow us to stay true to the brand. So I don't want to use a tool that's going to just make up some information about some random brand. I want that tool to turn around and provide or generate something that's relevant to the brand. So whether that's the brand's colors, the brand's fonts, if we say that the client likes this type of palm leaves and not this type of palm leaves, if I ask AI to generate something from there, I want it to keep that in mind. And so I think I like how we look at some of these AI agents and how you're able to give it the background, you're able to give it the information that it needs so it stays within your brand's parameters. And I think that's important because you can't just go to AI, put in a prompt, and then run with it in the world and just use it. It's not efficient that way. It's not good. You're not going to see results that way. So what I do like are any tools that allow us to custom to the brand that we're working on.
I agree. Staying true to your brand and your color scheme, your the way you want your brand to be viewed is very important. Not every marketer and every brand is going to feel that way, but the more people that feel that way, the better off we are as a society. There are programs out there that will let you just throw a prompt in there and create an entire visual, and then people will just throw it out there. But most people with a keen sense will say, okay, this is fake. It doesn't look real. The product, I mean, granted, I know even product photography, you could have a product and it can be floating right in the image, but is it real? Is it real to the person who's looking at it? And that's what you want. You want to capture that realness and that genuine feeling between the brand and that person itself. And a lot of times AI and a lot of people are missing that foundation there.
Yeah. And I'll also bring up this because, we were talking the other day about how in editing photos and videos, how, you could use AI tools and prompts
hmm
to edit. But just because you can edit and create a filter doesn't mean you need to put that filter on the world.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Because there are a lot of people out there who will throw filters on an image and just feel it changes the whole vibe because what they want, but it just ruins the initial vibe, the initial mood that the photographer or the creative director or the marketer wanted for that image. So just because, like I said, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And if a person has created a certain thing, it doesn't mean that you should go ahead and throw an AI filter and call it your own. And no way is that your own. You didn't do anything to it. You just threw a whole bunch of words into a prompt, and this is what the prompt spit out at you, and you want to create it as yours. So it's not genuine. And in today's society, that's what we need more genuine people, genuine articles to keep us together as a community.
I definitely agree with that one because I just like to share that a few years ago during pandemic times, I is already like booming at the time. And then there was this art contest, digital art contest that was held here in the Philippines. And one digital art became viral because that certain person used AI with it. and people were able to like backtrack it and find that these images that were grabbed by AI on Google were like put together in that digital art that they created. So it's really important that we still like do the personalization, like how we will show ourselves,
Hmm.
like who we really are as a brand.
Yeah. And I think that's why you're seeing more people, you see more tech CEOs, more large global CEOs saying that they need more people with humanities backgrounds, philosophy backgrounds, because those are some of the backgrounds that people thought like, oh, you never get a job for. But it's important because you need to understand the cultural importance of putting a kimono onto, on top of somebody who looks like they're a Nazi doing a Nazi sign. Like there's things that just don't match together. And if you don't have that historical cultural background, you don't understand why you should not put that kimono on someone doing a Hitler sign.
Yeah, it's like putting if you
So,
have a
or a
brand,
Nazi sign.
if you have a brand and you have a sombrero on a dragon, it doesn't go together. It has to be cohesive, and that's what a lot of the brands are missing nowadays is that cohesion. They just want to combine things together. Not everything is going to combine together properly, and it's not going to hit with everybody.
Yeah. And these AI tools are only going to do what it knows to do, right? If it doesn't know, like, this is offensive to use this type of language, or it's offensive to use these colors. I mean, certain cultures refrain from using other certain colors for certain meanings because it has a negative meaning for that culture. So those are the types of things that CEOs want to know. They want to know they're bringing on people who can think beyond numbers and code and that can actually think on the human side of things, on history side of things.
Right, right. I definitely agree with that one. With all this existing potential, what are some of the key considerations or ethical implications that brands need to be mindful of when incorporating AI into their visual storytelling strategies? Like, are there any pitfalls to avoid?
Sure. If I generate an image, and I'm not talking about an image with a human in it, because I just rather leave that to the photographers. But if I'm generating like a graphic based off of I will actually take that graphic and drop it into like Google search. And I'm like, hey, Google, what else is close to this? And I had a conversation with a colleague online just this week. She said, hey, this is my logo that this graphic designer just created for me. And also, guess what? I'm watching this television program, and the logo on the screen behind the guest on the looks just like my logo. And I thought in my head, well, after you had gotten that logo, had you bothered to put it in the Google search, you would have saw how many other logos are extremely close to that one. So I think my pitfall is that people are just kind of accepting the outcomes that happen from these design programs. They're accepting the outcomes of what they get from content creators and not doing just a little bit more research to see what that brand or if another brand is using something similar. You don't want to be repeat. And it's very difficult in this day and age where everybody has multiple businesses, micro business or large business, to not run across someone using the same name. But do they have to use the exact same logo? No. And that's something that you could probably do some searches, whether on social media platforms, searches on Google, searches in US trademark or whatever country you're in. I think that's a pitfall, is that people have gotten to this place of, I don't want to say lazy, but not willing to do the due diligence and do some searching. What about you, Rod?
I agree 100%. Even just like you brought up a point of companies having the same name. If you go on LinkedIn and you put in ABC8, there'll be 50 companies with ABC8. You think you may be trying to start your company up and be the first one with this brainstorm of idea, no matter how ingenious and how unique your name may sound, it's you still got to do your due diligence and make sure you're not copying of somebody who's more established. They may be in a completely different industry, but having the same name could it could cause legal parameters down the road. And like I said, even with the visuals, having your logo be similar to someone else, that could be that could be an issue because you have companies like Coca-Cola who their logo is trademarked and everybody around the world knows Coca-Cola. But if you want to come up with a company and mimic their logo or what their font is like, you're going to be getting some letters in the mail from some guys in suits, and nobody wants that. So it's everybody doing the due diligence, knowing what you're doing out there is not being copied, and you're not copying off someone else who spent years creating this brand for themselves, and you're just trying to piggyback off that, maybe unwillingly or knowingly doing it, but that's still at the end of the day, you got to stay on top of what you're putting out.
Yeah. And I'll say one more pitfall is that, and I'm surprised you didn't bring this up, Ron, but so product photography, product imaging, using products on social media, etc. It's one thing that, so we have products where they might be island themed. And so if I want to put a product that might be our clients on a beach, what am I putting on that beach? Am I putting the actual product, or am I putting up a product I told AI to give? So one of the things I'm constantly trying to be cognizant of and even mention within our team is that if a client has customers, their customers order something, they expect that thing that gets delivered to them to look like what you presented online, right? So you can't say like, oh, this is your watch that you're going to receive. And we have pictures all over social media of what the watch looks like. But then in the mail, after they've ordered it from whatever platform you have it on, and it comes in the mail as something that looks totally different, that's a lose. That's a lose. That's a losing situation. One, when we are having our clients that has food, we want the pictures to look close to what they're going to get when the customer goes in and pick up the food. So
Absolutely.
I think that that's another pitfall, that people are just relying on AI to generate something, or they're using stock photos and they're relying on that to kind of communicate to their customers like, hey, this is what you'll get. But in reality, that's not what the person receives in the mail. So you should be showing them exactly what they're going to get. And that's why you need a good photographer to be able to capture that.
Oh yeah, there's tricks in the trade that you'll see, especially like pancake syrup. You'll see it in an advertisement. One thing a lot of people don't realize, it's not pancake syrup that they're pouring in there. That's motor oil. It's when the light hits it right, it'll look like pancake syrup. So there are different things that in an ad or photo or a video online, it may look great and appealing, but the company still needs to put out a product that's going to be at least similar to that. You don't want to go get a burger that you think is this big. When you get it, it's going to be this big. You want it to be consistent with the product and the messaging that you're putting out. If you make all the images you put out in the world can be great, but if the product doesn't back it up, that's another problem.
I definitely agree with that one, Ron and Ebony, because there is this group that I'm a member to, like a Facebook group. It's all about food, and people are like sharing what they are eating, especially in this digital world. If you serve them with something that doesn't look like the picture, good luck with your business. They're definitely gonna post it there, and they'll be like, "Yep." A while ago when I was scrolling, I saw something already that says, "Look at this, expectation versus reality." So just
Yes.
like that, business is down. So you
That's
should
Yes.
heartbreaking.
definitely
Just
make
like that.
sure that just because you can like get it from here and there, you're gonna use it. That's a no no.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that's right. Expectation versus reality.
So looking ahead, what are some of the emerging trends in AI powered visual storytelling that you believe will become increasingly important for brands to embrace in the coming years? Like, what should our listeners be keeping an eye on?
So, I don't like to, and I'm going first again, so I know Ron will have his own tools or whatever thoughts. And I don't like to push certain products. But you also know internally how excited I am about those releases from Canva. I will say that I am looking forward to the continuation of what's called vibe coding, what's called, what's basically is taking a prompt and creating something new. And I like that. I like seeing that from a standpoint of brands being able to create landing pages based off of prompts. And even, there's some complexity that comes to this. I don't want anybody thinking that just because they use Canva code, all of a sudden they can launch this landing page. There's still this aspect of you having to connect the back end to the front end. So there's still some steps to this. But what I like is the fact that when people give what they call the requirements for a project, this gives you a good chance and a good start for the person who needs to give the requirements to the individual who has to do the work to actually get better at communicating. And I think that's one thing that generative AI has taught us very well, is that we are poor communicators, because it forces us to have to talk to Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever it is. We have to explain it as though it was a dumb new alien that has came to Earth with no knowledge of what we're doing. And because of that, it forces us to have to figure out how to communicate. But I love that what I'm seeing with Canva is more of forcing people to communicate what they want to see as the outcome, and then allowing them to see it in a way that they can describe it and present it to us as, agencies, and being able to say, this is kind of what I want to see. Let's complete this and make this vision come to a reality. I think it makes it much easier to be able to work from that way. So I love it beyond many other things that Canva dropped in their recent release. But I love that that vibe coding is catching on, and that a lot of platforms, not just Canva, Replit, other platforms, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. People are going to be like, she told me to use such and such. That's not what I'm trying to go for here. But, and when you see these platforms are allowing you to put in prompts and execute based off of your description, I like seeing that, because that touches my technology and my communications heart very closely. So I love those type of technologies. What about you, Ron?
There's so many platforms out there, even from Adobe. As much as a lot of people are trying to run away from Adobe, Adobe still rules the world. There are so many great products out there, Photoshop, Lightroom, and AI is being implemented in pretty much everything across the board. And like you said, it's all in how you communicate to the app itself. If you don't know what you want, there's no way the app is going to know what you want. And then one thing on top of that is making it a cohesive unit. So you may plug in one aspect of it, and then it needs more to build on from there. But if you can't keep everything on the right flow, your image is going to be all over the place. So it's talking to the app, knowing what you want, being able to break it down into the most simplest terms. Like you said, talking to an alien who's never been on this planet. I think a lot of people who work with kids are going to be great at this, because at the end of the day, sometimes we got to dumb things down to talk to a child and make sure a child can understand it. And that's how it is talking to AI sometimes. You've got to dumb it down to the simplest form so the AI can make it what you need. And then if it doesn't give you what you want, you build on from there. But you have, like I said, the Adobe product. You have Evoto AI, which is another great program, which a lot of people are crazy about people using AI in photography or this and that, but it's all in how you use it. If you're using it to create the entire image, that's one thing, and I'm not hardly behind that, but to each his own. But you can use it to enhance an image, change different aspects of the background. If you want to have an elephant roaming through the city streets, it's a bit hard to get an elephant unless you got a circus in your back pocket to roam down the streets and really get that photo. But with the great power of AI, you can have an elephant come in the back of an image. And that, to me, that's enhancing an image. That's not creating the whole image and making it from scratch with a bunch of prompts. So it's all in how you use it, what you're using, and to the degree of what you use.
I definitely agree because there are people who are actually, uh they are kind of like off when they hear about using AI. It's just that they don't know like the what what to do with it, like what prompts to
Mhm.
use for it, because they're like, but it's not giving me what I want. It's because you have to be able to know how to communicate with it as well. So, for businesses looking to experiment with AI in their visual storytelling, what would be your top piece of advice or a practical first step they could take to start exploring this new possibility?
I'll let you take it first, Ron, since I've been taking all the other questions first.
What would they, my advice would be before you jump out the window, know what you're doing. Study what you want and know your client base. Not every client base is going to want something AI generated. So keep your visuals simple at the end of the day, but know who your target audience is. Because say if you're selling products to sports enthusiasts, you're not going to want to have a lot of words on the page. Most sports people, they're visual people. We want to go out and we want the action. They don't want us to read a bunch of words on there, other than maybe just do it. That'll be about it. But know your audience, know what you're going for, keep it simple, and be straightforward with who you're going.
So I think my advice is going to be on the legal side. You know, I always have to go legal, K. Maybe I was, meant to be an attorney. I don't know. Marketing tech attorney. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Be your
Let's find
niche.
out. But I do think that for me, my piece of advice is just because you generated it doesn't mean you own it. And you need to read the terms and conditions. You need to read the privacy policy. So you want to ensure that whatever you upload doesn't go into like the general model, and that it will stay just specifically for your account. And that's if you're a small business or a large enterprise. You also want to look and read that fine print, because some of these platforms that are letting you generate stuff will tell you only for entertainment purposes. Therefore, you could not commercialize what you're doing. So, if I was to create this exquisite jungle scene that I want to use and for t-shirts and sell them on my t-shirt website, I don't have permission to use it because the fine print said you can't use it for commercial purposes. So I feel like that is where businesses, I'm going to not talk about the platforms itself, your strategies, but you need to know what that platform says is your limitations. And then on top of that, the other layer is, what do the countries that you're going to serve say about AI generated videos, AI generated graphic designs? Because that's a concern for a lot of countries. You might generate something of someone else's president, but someone else's prime minister or something. So these are things that you need to know. If this is the idea that we have for this campaign and we want to use it, I need to dot my I's, cross my T's, call up my attorney that does copyright trademark, who will know from an international or US or a Canadian or a Australian, whatever, wherever you are, you need to know what the rules are, and you need to understand the rules of engagement outside of your circle.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. You got to stay on top of, know who you're marketing to, where they are, and just stay out of trouble. Nobody wants.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you're like, you don't know, like, because like I said, this is like the digital world already. And as we call it, like the netizens, people on the internet, always have a lot of time to like do a backtrack. So be careful when
Yeah.
using AI. You don't want to be like canceled. There are a lot of
Somebody out there
people
has
like
way
in
too
the
much time on
cancel
their hands.
culture. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've been like always searching things about the marketing trends. So it's very important that we always make sure that every step we do for our brands is completely legal, really ours, and
Yep.
do not have any copyright issues. Anyway, there are a
Yeah.
lot of AIs as well who has like a pla-
Plagiarism. Yep. Plagiarism.
plagiarism checker.
Yep.
So be sure to
Yeah.
use that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, use that as well. I do like, and I'm just going to put it out there Grammarly, but I do like there are some tools out there that will check for plagiarism. And something you said, Kay, is like you said the internet, there's people that have time. And that reminds me over here in the US, people say, I have time today, and they get that clickety clack it in. You catching me? I got time for you today. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to look up your brand and call you a liar because I got time today.
Yeah, yeah. You just don't know who run into.
No, you
You
never
don't
do.
know who you run into in these internet streets.
Hmm.
Oh,
You don't know.
Right.
gotta be cautious. Gotta be one step ahead of the game at all times.
So, that was a fantastic overview of the dynamic world of visual storytelling with AI, and we've covered some truly groundbreaking trends and techniques today. So, to quickly recap, we've seen how AI is revolutionizing visual content creation through generative tools, enhancing storytelling with data driven insights, and offering exciting new possibilities for brand engagement. So, thank you so much again, Ebony and Ron. And for our
Thank you.
listeners, we hope this episode has sparked some ideas and inspired you to think differently about your brand's visual storytelling. So, to dive deeper into this topic and explore more marketing and tech insights, be sure to check out our other episodes, and you can find them on our Spotify or YouTube channel. And don't forget to connect with Ebony and Ron Vaz on LinkedIn for more thought leadership and insights on the future of marketing and technology. Thanks for tuning in to SoldOutChat. Until then, keep innovating and achieving new heights.